When people talk about farming, you probably think of crops covering acres and acres of land with a picturesque red barn and dozens of farm animals, all located far away from busy cities. Contrary to popular belief, recently, farmers are moving their food production into the cities. In this video, we're here to tell you all you need to know about urban micro-farming and food production in the city. So what exactly is urban micro-farming? Urban micro-farming, in the simplest terms, allows farmers to tend to animals and grow crops on a smaller scale. It can be done right in the middle of busy, bustling city centers. This method is useful as it makes use of every possible inch of space within cities. However, don't let the name mislead you. While urban microfarms do take up smaller spaces in comparison to traditional farming, this by no means equates to a smaller yield. We'll talk about the benefits a bit later on in the video, so be sure to stick around until the very end. Currently, France is at the center of the green space explosion in cities. Back in 2019, a 150,000 square foot urban farm was open to the public on the roof of the Paris Expo Porte de Versailles, which is an exhibition space in the southwestern part of Paris. The urban farm has the potential to grow 30 different types of plant species and more than 1,000 kilograms of fruits and vegetables during growing seasons. One of the world's largest urban farms is also located in France and even has a restaurant called Les Perchoirs. The credit of this green explosion in France goes to the 2015 legislation by the French government that stated that every new commercial building was required to install either a solar panel or have vegetation on its roof. As one would expect from a foodie capital, many companies chose to grow their own fruits and vegetables. What are the benefits of urban micro-farming? Now that we have a better idea of what urban micro-farming is, how exactly is it useful? Can farmers really benefit by moving their food production farms into the city? Let's take a closer look. First, it uses fewer resources. One of the biggest advantages of urban micro-farming is that you can work with limited space and resources. How? Let us explain. One of the many methods of urban micro-farming is vertical farming, which allows you to stack rows of plants vertically. This helps you make the most of limited space. Plus, it uses energy-saving LED lights and soil-free hydroponics or aeroponic systems. While they do use a significant amount of electricity, they are incredibly water efficient. In addition, growing food in and around cities allows you to save up on transportation costs. There are many ways to go about urban micro-farming, but regardless of which type of urban micro-farming method you opt for, it is economically more beneficial than compared to traditional farming. It reduces the cost of food production by a lot. You don't need acres and acres of land with only limited yield. You can make the most of smaller spaces and still get a comparatively higher yield. Plus, you don't need to invest in heavy machinery or hire workers to help you maintain the crops. According to data from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, vertical farming consumes 75% less raw materials compared to traditional farming. In addition, it uses just 60 watts of power daily to grow around 150 kilograms of vegetables a month. To obtain this amount of yield, vertical farming requires only 6 square meters of space, while traditional farming requires at least 72 square meters of land. Similarly, in terms of water usage, a vertical farm would require around 12 liters of water to produce 1 kilogram of vegetables, which is a stark contrast against the 300 to 400 liters of water a traditional farm would use. Plus, micro-farming techniques that use hydroponics and aeroponics can grow vegetables without peat moss, which is another advantage. These techniques simply optimize the use of water by dissolving macro and micronutrients in water. Next, it's low risk. The best part of it all is that an urban farm grows the way you want it to. You can start small or big, it's all up to you. For instance, as mentioned earlier, some urban micro farms take up very little space. An example of this is Clay Bottom Farm in Goshen, Indiana. Ben Hartman and Rachel Hirschberger cultivate 1 acre of a 5-acre subdivision. In contrast, Gotham Greens has 3 large rooftop greenhouses in New York and will be expanding to build another one in Chicago. The company claims it grows up to 10 million heads of leafy greens and herbs in a year. Regardless of which option you go for, the risks are quite low. You can choose to start small like Clay Bottom Farms and maybe even expand the way Gotham Greens has done once you're more sure of your methods and the market demand. We suggest experimenting with the various systems and crops to figure out which one works best for you. Now, the high-quality food. Another huge benefit of urban micro-farming is that the food produced is of a higher quality. Since this method of farming discourages the use of toxins and pesticides, the food you grow is of better quality. The most important part of eating organic food is to ensure the food you consume does not contain harmful chemicals. With micro-farming, you can ensure that the food you consume is free of harmful chemicals and packed with nutrients. It's a potential solution to a world food crisis. According to science writer Julian Cribb, a world food crisis is imminent. This is due to a combination of various factors, such as loss of water, loss of of topsoil, climate change, and overuse of poisons. According to UN estimates, global food production must increase by 70% to match the global population, which is estimated to hit 10 billion by 2050. At one point in time, the world may have had a lot of water and soil to be a big food producer. However, it seems as if we've used up more supplies than we should have. Urban micro-farming just might be the solution to this problem. We might not have enough soil and water to be big food producers, but we surely have the technology and expertise for it. One example of this is seen in Dubai. Dubai is by no means a farming country. However, they've made the most of available resources and have become a major producer of food. For instance, they have vertical farms, also referred to as skyscraper farms, that not only reduce water use, but also allow for higher yields and variety of crops. The Emirates Flight Catering, or EKFC for short, secures its own supply of fresh fruits and vegetables through urban micro-farming. It's also beneficial for the environment. As mentioned earlier, the use of chemicals is reduced in urban farming. Not only does this lead to healthier food, but it also allows for less damage to the environment. Pollutant levels in cities are usually very high and are slowly increasing. The carbon footprint's not just in the city areas, but also in the country areas. Urban farming allows us to help reduce this carbon footprint. It helps reduce overall carbon emission, as transportation of food is reduced when the production is moved into the urban area. Plus, the plantations within the city help by storing carbon and using it to form oxygen. The change may not seem as apparent right now. Trust us when we say the impact will be beneficial in the long run. Next, it builds community. Another great benefit of urban farming is that it helps build stronger community ties. It not only stimulates the economy by allowing the community to gain mutually beneficial experiences. Local food systems are able to grow positively. Small businesses and food entrepreneurs can grow as they provide food sources to their local grocers, restaurants, schools, and other institutions. It also allows for more employment opportunities for the residents. As the local economy improves, so do the living conditions of the community. Plus, as access to affordable, healthy, and fresh food becomes easier, it promotes a healthier lifestyle for the community as a whole. According to research, 48% of consumers prefer locally produced ingredients in food. Urban farmers can supply this demand. Lastly, we have property value. According to research, the value of a property increases if there's a community garden nearby. This means that if there's an urban farm nearby, people are more likely to purchase houses and move into the area. Not only does this mean that urban farms can have a positive impact on the value of a neighborhood, but in turn, it can also benefit the urban farmer, as they now have a market to sell their products to. We really delved deep into urban micro-farming, from what it means to the various benefits, to help you better understand why urban micro-farmers are moving to the city to produce food. What are your thoughts on urban micro-farming? As mentioned in this video, it can be done on a small scale or on a large scale for commercial purposes. Do you think it's beneficial in the long run? Can it really be the solution to a food crisis? Do you feel curious enough to start your own urban micro-farm in your backyard? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.